Did you see? So we've been right this whole time, man. Did you see the post that Menno put out during the week? So squats are fucking cardio. We've been saying that for how long?
Yeah. Yep.
There's so much pushback on it, eh?
Really?
Yeah, so much. Because it's like, well,
I only saw your head.
What exercise? So it's like, well, if I don't really feel like they've kind of gone deep on the metrics they've used to measure it.
Yeah.
But they're like, if the squats are cardio.
So rewind. What's the heading? What's happened?
So,
because I barely know, which means anyone listening doesn't know.
Okay. Well, I'm going to bring it up now, so now it's going to be awkward. There's going to be that awkward.
We can do awkward silences. It's fine.
It's going to be that awkward silence. All right, here we go.
We're all comfortable enough.
High rep squats are officially cardio. New study concludes. So now it says, many people said squats are cardio, blah, 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 blah. In the gym, your heart rate and breathing rate are elevated much of the time. A group of seriously trained men performed 5 sets of 10 full rep squats at 65% of their 1RM. It's only 10 reps, man. Mm-hmm. Much like boring, don't worry about that part. The oxygen demand of this workout was extremely high, reaching 100% of VO2 max in the stronger lifts, 94% in the weaker lifts. The weaker lifters, sorry. So if you're strong and you lift lots of reps,
high reps are cardio.
And they measured your VO2 max, so that's like a pretty good. I feel like it's the gold standard, right? In terms of like how much oxygen your body uses during a given time. Interestingly, the levels of VO2 relative to the VO2 max and the highest heart rate relative to the maximal heart rate clearly showed that multiple sets of resistance exercise could be considered as vigorous or high-intensity cardiovascular activity.
I mean, is that news?
No, well, it's funny, man.
You know what I mean?
No, so it's funny. Like, I brought it up because it's funny.
Yeah.
Because it's like, is it funny because we've been saying it for fucking 20 years?
Yeah,
30, 40 years lifters and stuff? Or is it like, because it's true now, people are like, oh, I won't do it, or it's not funny because it's true kind of thing? And then even then, it's like, is it true just because that says it is? You know what I mean? Yeah. So then people, like, the pushback I've seen is like, oh, well, I've huffed and puffed doing bicep curls before. So is that considered cardio? It's like, where do you draw the
You'd
line?
have to do the VO2 test, right?
Agreed. I agree with that. So I was like, well, said person probably hasn't
squatted hard.
Yeah, but even then, like,
anyone that
surely you couldn't do bicep curls to
anyone that's coming out and saying I train biceps to the same level of tiredness as my squat, like how you feel, doesn't squat hard.
No, but but I think that's using like the respiration part of it.
Yeah,
it's not considering the laboratory environment.
It's oxygen demand on the system, not if you're puffed.
But if you think about if you haven't delved deep, I'm just trying to go into that for these people.
No, fuck them.
Yeah.
So it's interesting though. So I used to have this line to convince my Gen Pop clients that like weight training was okay.
Yeah.
And they're like, yeah, but like what about the cardio health and blah, blah, blah. I was like, well, for you, the same heart that pumps blood when you're on the treadmill and the same lungs that breathe oxygen when you're on the treadmill also work when you lift weights.
Yeah.
So you're probably still going to get some cardiovascular benefits from a 45-minute weight training session.
Yeah.
When you haven't done anything for 5 years.
Yeah, especially if the set durations are long. Like, like if your body's moving for a period of time, and that period of time is longer than a 5-rep set.
Yeah. And then like also considering like density of a session too.
Yeah, what compounds over time.
Supersession shit.
Yeah. Even just, it's still, challenging that system. It's just that there was a more efficient, more targeted way if you just did like quote unquote cardio. Yeah.
Yeah. But if you're time limited and you had to choose between the two.
Yeah, I'm doing the cardio.
If you're time limited and you have to choose between I can only weight train or I can only do cardio.
Oh, I thought you meant a high rep squat. It's like
for overall general health. Well, so if the outcome choice is
wait, what? Yeah, well,
you can train or you could do cardio.
But what's the net goal? Like, if his net goal to be fitter, or is the net goal to look good naked?
Well, both. Like general health, improve body composition.
I'm still taking the cardio and like that.
So, yeah, I would say most people that only have 60 minutes to go to the gym 3 to 4 times a week, would get greater, both like metabolic, cardiovascular health benefits if they weight trained for all of that.
Oh, absolutely.
and then just did some steps
Yeah.
on your lunch break.
Yeah. So I wonder like what other movements go into that category. You know what I mean? Because like we've talked about in the past, it's like if you're strong, like doing
Yeah.
deadlifts over, I don't know,
Yeah.
like even 8's probably like, kind of stretching it.
Yeah.
Like doing deads.
Back
8 reps.
5.
Hmm?
Even 5.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Really?
5's my cap for deadlifts.
Really?
Yeah. I even like some of my programs where they're squatting and benching 5s, they're dead triples.
All deadlifts or just from the floor?
From the floor.
Yeah. So
Yeah,
other deadlift variations have
Yeah.
more skill.
Yeah, RDL's standard. Go for your life.
How many? Do you have a rep cap?
No.
Really? You savage.
I probably
highlight this person's.
I probably just like not that I've ever sat down and been like, I'd never program more than this many reps, but it's usually the first movement, so it's going to be lower. Like it's going to be 6 to 8 more often than not.
Yeah.
And then the dumbbell RDL is usually later in a session, and it's going to be 8 to 12.
Yeah. You know what piques my interest is, let's say you do high rep training because said whatever reason, right? And those adaptations happen, although those effects happen on the system. I wonder how that affects the anabolic signaling.
Got to be
And
preferred, right?
what's the carryover? Like, what's the trade-off? Because like that would be said, that would be really hard to do. Like the perception of effort.
Yeah.
To do high rep 10,
Yeah.
like high rep squatting, especially as it compounds. So like that first set's like, it's hard.
Yeah.
Imagine doing like the fourth set.
Yeah.
It's like you'd just be like telling yourself like, I need to just get through this.
Yeah.
Like,
The thought of doing 5 by 10
yeah.
as a strong person.
Yeah. So that's already like, so the perception of it's hard. So then you're like, all right, so that's going to affect the motor unit recruitment already, right? Because we've got a level of fatigue already affecting the performance and the amount of activation that we're going to have. Then you have like the aerobic system being challenged. So surely that has an interference in getting that anabolic stimulus. And even then, what are the other elements of fatigue that are compounding that are affecting your ability to get an even greater stimulus in your sets for growth?
And then is the trade-off from that individual exercise, that 5 sets in your program, is the benefit of fitness, conditioning, mental fortitude, lactic acid, because I would just vomit. Does that then benefit the rest of your training enough that it's worth it?
Yeah, absolutely.
So say it is like not that great in isolation to do 50 reps of squats at the start of your session. Is it beneficial enough that for the rest of that program it's beneficial, or the next block that you're fitter, recover faster, can deal with lactate easier, you're a better athlete?
Absolutely. That's a great way of thinking about it. So where I see something like that coming out to play for bodybuilding and physique orientated goals is you could do a conditioning block, say in like a growth period, to maintain some of the things that fall away if you don't when you push in the size, and get way more buy-in from the lifter than just prescribing like do 20 minutes 3 times per week on the cross trainer or something, like maybe throwing in a high density training block and just being very thoughtful with what movements you pair so you can extend the work. Maybe that is a good thing to do.
I'm thinking about one of my girls at the moment doing the tension phase. So it's like 1 or 2 heavies at the start, like 6s.
And then it's like a couple of rep modifiers.
Everything else is like 1.5s, 21s, slow negatives.
Each set in that would go for 45 seconds minimum.
So I'm thinking like from that level of athlete, someone newer to the gym, because probably you don't call an athlete yet, they're just a gym goer. the skill adaptation is why we have it.
Yeah,
Like, this will make you really fucking good at lifting weights.
Mm.
But something that we probably haven't considered is the conditioning element
yeah.
of
Even
being
the next
able to
block.
stay in that and the oxygen demand and
Yeah. The next block after that goes into the conditioning part too. So you're essentially just like prepping them to
yeah, that's the like
density
superset one, right?
Yeah, the density one.
Yeah.
It's not really density because you don't really increase
Over time.
the density over time because they'll
Yeah.
die. But you can.
Yeah.
But it's still more dense than other programs because you're doing supersets of double the work. So the
Yeah.
volumes overall is higher
yeah.
typically than other programs.
Yeah, but it lends itself to that, both of those being favorable, right? Like,
Yeah. Yeah, there's absolutely a place for it. That's where like you don't want to sit there and look at this study and go, it's cardio. Like, let's just not do it.
yeah.
Like it has a place if you strategically look at it because now it's a tool that we have a better understanding of. Because again, like who knows? Like we can ask some more questions and someone else makes a fancy slide and it totally contradicts that. Like you've got to take it with what it is.
Yeah.
But rather than just like even confirming your own bias, where you're like, oh well, I'm never doing high rep squats again because I don't want to do cardio because that's detrimental to my goals. You're like, well, where does this tool sit in the grand scheme of programming and working towards the goals that we have?
Yeah.
And a lot of the time people miss, especially like people trying to push size, they'll miss the blind spots of the negative effects that driving size has.
Yeah.
Which is cardiovascular conditioning, and that has like a downstream effect on everything else, where you can potentially offset that with your block periodization, we'll call it.
Yeah.
Where you're like, this particular block is for this.
Yeah.
And then you can go straight back, and you may only have to do it for a month. So that's where maybe programming, like, we talk about the timeline.
Yeah.
Like maybe that's an example of just such, because it's so specific, like you might only have to do that for like a month.
Yeah.
And then your actual growth block where you're like, I'm trying to get massive lats, I'm trying to build a set of biceps. It's like, all right, well, time is going to serve you better in that block.
Yeah.
We've put ourselves in the best position to kind of grow.
Yeah.
Have at it.
Yeah, I think something that athletic population, let's say, people that train for strength outcomes, especially specific ones, like powerlifting and physique sports, both lose sight of becoming a better athlete.
Yeah.
So it's like, what qualities, when you listen to like good S&C coaches talk, they talk about what are the trainable qualities we're trying to get. So if I'm looking at a strength athlete, I'm like, well, what are the trainable qualities that I need from this person?
Yeah.
So, and that's why my programming looks more like a kind of hybrid bodybuilding kind of stuff. And there's some shit in there that you're like, is this a performance program? Like, why am I jumping? What the fuck is going on? With the intent that you're the best athlete possible to get to the platform, but behaving the way you do on the platform doesn't make you the best athlete.
Yeah.
The same as like going and playing football 3 times a week doesn't make you the best at football. You go do skills, you go do conditioning, you go do strength, you go do all the trainable qualities that you need to then be good at the thing.
Yeah.
And I think from a physique athlete, like we talk about it a lot, it's like, how much work are you putting into growing your shoulders, for example, or glutes, versus keeping your hips and your shoulders healthy so you can drive more volume and lift more weight. And I think this is kind of in that. The conversation we're having now is there. It's like, what are the trainable qualities I need over a year?
Absolutely.
Not just, does
Right
this specific set on Tuesday at fucking 2:35 in the afternoon make me, directly stronger or directly bigger or directly whatever. It's like, what does it look like as a block, as a phase, as a year?
Yeah.
Like, what does all of that coming together look like?
Yeah, absolutely. What'd be cool to see is like those fitter people, like how much stronger they might be.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
How much faster they would progress.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like I just wonder how you could prove that. Or how you could try and ask the question, not prove it.
Yeah.
if you have a group of people who went and got fit, the only issue with that is like, whilst they're getting fit, what are the other group doing?
Yeah.
Like, are they just sitting around not getting fit? Like, because those people would be lifting.
Yeah.
So then you're like, this group does a conditioning block, we'll call it.
Yeah.
And then this group just like continues on with lifting weights. And then this group comes out of it, say like 4 weeks later. And they both do a 12-week training block.
Yeah.
It'd probably have to be 8 weeks because usually they run at about 12 weeks.
Yeah.
Total time. But let's say it's 12. Who progresses in gains, in net strength gains over time?
Yeah.
And then I'd actually be really interested to see how that happens too in bodybuilding as well. Because, you know, your aerobic ceiling kind of can, or correct me if I'm wrong, set the anaerobic ceiling, right?
Yeah, and especially like in a novice intermediate, like how many people stop sets because they're tired?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. So then if your aerobic ceiling's high, your anaerobic ceiling should theoretically be higher, like move with it. Yep. So then that allows that person to push closer to, you know, those sets that get closer to task failure and stuff.
Yeah.
It does that over time, lead to a better outcome.
Yeah. And I think that's good programming, is being able to, again, what are the trainable qualities? Not just what are the trainable muscle groups or the trainable lifts.
Yeah.
And then how can I get in, like even for physique stuff, and it's all of it. Physique and strength people that I've worked with and done stuff with, like if you just landmine press 3 sets a week, your lateral raises will stop hurting.
Yeah.
Your pressing will be better. You'll actually be able to get your lats short. Do you know what I mean? Like there's all these.
Yeah.
It's like, and it's 3 to 6, maybe 6 sets of reaching at the start, and then 3 for maintenance. And it's like telling someone like this actually isn't going to build any muscle.
Yeah.
This exercise isn't here for you to build muscle, and that single leg dumbbell glute bridge that you're doing, as a finisher, I'm actually just training your hips.
Yeah.
It's a hard sell.
I agree, especially when there's no pain.
Yeah, and I think what happens more often than not is when you're like, so what's the race? It's like the person that's like, well, every exercise I do is anabolic or strength building, versus the other person who's trying to do all these other trainable qualities. So in a powerlifting contest, just like just watching someone like just compete and then go test singles like 3 weeks later, like
makes no sense.
Those, you see the overtake happen at the time where there's a breakdown.
Yeah.
So when the shoulder hurts and you can't press for a month, they got you.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because they'll train all year.
Yeah.
They won't be
so consistent.
In for 6 weeks, out for 2, that kind of thing. It's just like, so even if they're running at 80% progress, compared to your perceived 100, net usually they come out ahead.
Yeah.
Because it's only a matter of time until you get a little close to the sun.
You get burnt. Get a little bit crispy. I like to fly just.
You just need a minute
to get a tan.
Yeah.
Just to get a nice tan.
Well, that's where you want to be, right?
Yeah. Well, you'd like to.
And that's where you're just introducing enough of the other qualities you need. Cardio, functionality, work capacity, health.
Yeah.
Blood pressure regulation obviously falls in health, but those things for a physique and strength athlete.
Yeah.
Body composition for strength athletes. Like it's really fun at the moment. The group I've got, none of them are cutting. The one that was trying, and I was like, if you want to, sure, but I don't really think we should. And then like 8 weeks out, it's like, this is fucking killing me. I'm like, cool. So we'll just stay in the same weight class and eat and have a good time. She's like, yeah, okay. I'm like, the progress from the girls that I've competed with before that have always had to chase body weight, that we did it 6 months out, not 6 weeks out. Fuck, man.
Yeah. Just makes it like, I just don't understand why you would do that when the goal is to performance.
Powerlifting, bodybuilding is the same. Like when people go into prep,
Oh,
I
yeah,
think,
yeah.
I think the people you work with less
Yeah, well, you set
because you
the
set
tone.
the standard, and
Yeah,
yes,
yeah, I
obviously
get
the same with my group.
Yeah,
But-
but
So many people are just like change gears when they go into prep. I'm like, you were in prep the next day
yeah, of course.
after
Well,
your last comp.
Sorry,
like,
you should be
yeah,
thinking about it like that. Absolutely. Yeah, just mean like for a pursuit that is so clear that your actual physical well-being, health, preparation, everything is indicative of, how you're going to show up.
Yeah,
Why would you
Be
do
hungry.
something that's the polar opposite? Yeah, just find that real. Like if you're,
and that's the mockery thing, right? It's like bodybuilders are their least.
they're
Performance
worst, their
on
worst
stage.
physical state,
Yeah. So
Yeah.
then you go into a
and
performance.
probably mental too.
Yeah, you go into a performance-based sport and then mimic it.
Mm.
It doesn't make sense.
Yeah, agreed. Yeah, that's what I mean. It's like it'd be like, I mean, they still do it in like combat sport and everything,
Mm.
I guess.